Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Chronicles of Cricket. And here we are, episode two. And we thank you for all the love that you gave us, especially Deb in the first episode. I'm as excited as all of you all are for Deb, and you'll see these stories coming up quick and fast now. We're really excited, and we have a lot of fun stories coming up. Dave, how are you feeling, man? How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. Really excited about the next episode, and yeah, we have got one very interesting one coming up.
Yeah, this one's very interesting. There are World Cup moments you never forget. Like Dhoni's six, Kapil Dev's catch in 1983, Gibbs's drop catch in 1999.
Mm.
But then there are moments you kind of almost forget because it's just like a zoop. It grasps you for a second and then just leaves because they were so bizarre. They kind of made up. It sounds made up, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And this one, Robin, it just really feels like it couldn't have happened at all. So imagine this: a bowler steaming in at 90 miles per hour, and the batsman walks in not in a helmet but just a floppy sun hat.
Sun hat in a World Cup match.
Yep, a proper one-day international at the biggest stage of all, facing South Africa, and not just any bowler. This is the bowler we called the White Lightning,
Oh
and
my
probably
god.
the most brutal of that era. And this batter just comes in without a helmet. And mind you, he's not any random player; he's the captain of the opposition. So yeah, it's really
Okay.
something bizarre.
Okay, I know who you're talking about, but we need to hear the story.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get there. But first, let us like set the context for the story. So this is 1996. The World Cup sees a new country, and it's UAE. But how did a team like UAE even make it to the World Cup? So yeah, let's rewind to that.
So, in the early 90s, the ICC had this tournament called the ICC Trophy. It was like the World Cup qualifier for all the associate nations. And in 1994, UAE, mostly a team of expats outside of one player, they practically shocked everyone by winning the whole thing in Kenya.
Yeah, and they incidentally beat the host nation Kenya in the final, which is ironic because Kenya would actually end up doing a lot better than them in the 1996 World Cup.
Actually, right? As I remember, didn't they beat West Indies? They actually did really well in that World Cup.
Yeah, they did. And Maurice Odumbe was the hero of the match with 3 wickets. So yeah, it was a really memorable one of the biggest upsets in World Cup cricket.
Oh my god, I haven't heard that name in such a long time. We have to do a story about him, someday. But now let's get
Yeah.
back to our story. This UAE team, let's be honest, it was made up of players from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, a little bit of the subcontinent. Like it was a little bit of a subcontinent 11, right? Outside of that one player.
Yes, except one man, as you said. So the only native Emirati in the squad, their captain.
Yeah, now we're getting close to that mystery man.
Yes, we are. And his name was Sultan Zarawani.
Sultan Zarawani, and here's what gets interesting. Before the World Cup in 1996, in 1994, UAE played their first ever ODI against India in an Asia Cup.
Yep.
And guess who Zarawani dismissed?
Yep. Go on, you say it.
He got Sachin Tendulkar out. The great
Yeah.
Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, the legend himself. He got him out with a leg spinner that clipped the edge, flew to slip, and that was his first career wicket.
Yep. And I love how poetic it is. The man dismissed Sachin Tendulkar of all people for his first ever wicket. You'd think he's destined for greatness, you'd suppose.
Exactly, but he would only go on to take like about four more wickets, I think, in his career.
Yeah.
So yeah, not exactly the next Shane Warne, but man, for an Emirati to have
Yeah.
played cricket at the highest level and captained his country, and to have gotten Sachin Tendulkar out as his first wicket, stuff of dreams, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So now we fast forward to March 1996, and it's UAE versus South Africa. UAE are chasing 322. It's a very big score, and they are now down. The 6 wickets down for 68. So the match is basically over by this point.
Yeah, and that's when Zarawani walks in, doesn't he? And who's
Yeah.
he got to face? He has to face Alan Donald, the White Lightning, the fastest, scariest, craziest, most explosive bowler in that era.
Yep. And what does he wear on his head?
Not this kind of a hat, but a floppy sun hat, not a helmet,
Yeah.
not even a
Yeah.
cap.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? I mean, was it like a bravery or like a ego thing, or someone gave him a dare to do it? And we would never know.
Yeah, probably
He-
all of it, right? Probably all of the above. But let's be honest. It
yeah.
was if I was at the other end, I would have told him, bro, this is not club cricket. What's going on? Is everything okay?
Yeah. And Donald, what does he do? So he comes in, first ball, bouncer, bang on point, smacks him on his head,
Yeah, I
which
remember.
is scary.
You know what, Dave? I think I remember watching this match or watching the highlights of this match because I remember this part on television. We used to have like an Oneida television at home, right? Where you click the channels to change it. So we used to have that one. So I remember him holding his head like this vividly after he got hit. It actually takes him a little while to settle in and, like, take guard. But the crazy part, he doesn't ask for a helmet after that. I don't know what made him do this. As in, obviously, the norms of the ICC weren't in place, right? Where
Yeah.
you have to wear a helmet, and especially when
Hmm.
facing a fast bowler or your wicket keeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for him, it was either like one spiritual detachment or a very specific death wish. I mean, like, what was he thinking, dude?
Yeah, I mean, so Donald would actually like write about this incident in his book later on. So he genuinely feared that he had killed that guy that day. So it was a serious hit to the head.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, at this point, a quick question to you, Rabi. So, if
Mhm.
you were the captain of the UAE team and saw the top order collapse, would you ever dare to go in without a helmet, maybe to make a statement to your struggling team about
if I
how?
was if I was playing against against Alan Donald, I would have thrown on an extra chest guard, an arm guard, maybe even shin pads under my pads.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I mean, he was after all the most like scariest bowler
Fearsome
of the
bowler at that point
era.
in time. Because
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
Shoaib Akhtar hadn't really come into the scene then. Brett Lee
Mhm.
hadn't really come into the scene then. So he was that one fast bowler that everyone kind of feared. So getting runs against him or hitting him was like crazy. I remember this one game where in South Africa, India were playing South Africa, and Rahul Dravid pulled him for a six or hooked him for a six, and he went after him like proper sledging, right? And it was phenomenal. Like, so getting runs against
Yeah,
Alan Donald was something that one thought maybe could not be done.
yeah.
You see him off.
Yeah, exactly. And the second one.
Mm.
So 1996 was a very memorable World Cup. So I mean, you might be at that time like an aspirational young boy who wanted to play for the Indian team. What memories do you have of that World Cup? I mean, it must be your first home World Cup growing up.
I have a very nice memory from this World Cup because it was the first time I watched a live cricket game at the stadium, and you know which game that was, Dave? It was
Oh,
the India Pakistan game at Bangalore, the
oh,
game where Venkatesh Prasad gets Amir
yeah,
Sohail, where Navjot Singh Sidhu scores 93 odd, and
yeah,
smashing runs, and Paji was like Sachin Tendulkar was batting at his like best, and Rahul Dravid had missed getting into that side, and so
mm,
it was at that point where you felt like, man, this team was can do something, can probably win this World Cup. And the
yeah,
kind of form that Sachin Tendulkar was in was just phenomenal. And I remember, like, this was the day, that India Pakistan day was the day I decided I'm going to play for India. So for me,
oh,
that memory is
yeah,
really, really, really special. That
right.
World Cup's very special.
Yeah, it was a really, really exciting World Cup. And I specifically remember Ajay Jadeja's onslaught in the final
Whoa!
few minutes. That was
Again,
really,
unprecedented, right? Like, you
yeah,
saw that where it, like, he just came out of nowhere, out of
yeah,
complete left field, smashed Wakar Yunus for 22 runs in an over or something like that, scored
yeah,
47 of 25 deliveries, which again, like, unheard of, like, way
yeah,
ahead of his curve kind of an innings that
yeah,
was.
yeah, exactly.
Where were you? How old were you? Like, do you remember that?
And so I don't remember much of the '96 World Cup. I was about 5 years old at that point, but but my grandfather was a really really passionate cricket fan. So he used to have the TV on all the time. So I remember watching bits of the World Cup. I have like small memories of that World Cup, just sitting with him looking at the television. And I remember this bit where everyone was getting excited around the house because Jadeja was really really like taking it on against one of the most like top bowlers of that era. So yeah, that's a very lasting memory that I have from that World Cup.
Amazing. Amazing. Great. But we digress. Let's get
Yes,
back to Mr. Zarawani now.
yes.
What happened then?
So Zarawani ended up lasting about 6 balls more. He didn't trouble the scorers that day, but importantly, he didn't flinch despite the hit. So you have to give him some credit for that.
Yeah, say what you want, man, but the man stood there. I've seen players jump out of the way and retire. He stayed in, and that counts for something. There's so many guys. I've seen so many guys in my career when they face someone really quick, they back away with all their gear,
Yeah,
right? They back away because they're not used to playing that pace. And I'm
right.
certain Mr. Zaravani wouldn't have been used to playing that kind of pace, and nobody in the world were used to playing that kind of pace
Yeah,
on a regular basis.
exactly. And uh, then after the match, when they asked him about it, why didn't he wear the helmet? Yes, what
It's
did
a
he
very
say?
typical answer. He's like, that helmet thing made me claustrophobic. I never wore one. That is a classic, just an
Yeah,
absolute classic.
yeah. He was spoken like a man who had clearly never faced the likes of Donald or even the likes of Shoaib Akhtar, who was not around at the time, but people of that caliber or pace in international cricket. So probably he never had that fear in him.
Yeah. So also in that era, some of the fastest bowlers were obviously Waqar Yunis, Wasim
Mm,
Akram, Curtly Ambrose,
yeah,
uh, Alan Donald, Ian Bishop. Who else is there? Yeah? Megra was not quick, but he was young still, so he was fairly
yeah,
decently quick. I think Craig McDermott made 135s maybe. But they were decently fast bowlers, but he was perhaps
mm,
him, Waqar Yunis, Wasim Akram, Curtly Ambrose were probably like the ones who stood out in that era.
right,
But
right.
Zarawani, what happened to him after that?
So his ODI career ended with a batting average of 4.33 and a bowling average of 51.
Imagine swapping those numbers. That would be a world class all rounder.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally what Lawrence Booth said in the Daily Mail when he wrote about him later on after the World Cup. But the ESPN also reported that he was probably one of the only players in the tournament who owned more than dozen expensive cars, a complete fleet. So he was really a wealthy man. So, and at the end of the day, I think cricket average probably didn't matter much to him.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't. But jokes aside, that story, the sun hat, that spirit, definitely belongs in cricket
Yeah,
history. Not just because it was bizarre, but because he showed up, he led his team, and he actually stood in front of a bullet and survived it. He stood in front
yeah.
of lightning, white lightning, and survived it.
Yeah, yeah. And so the next time for the audience, when someone talks about World Cup legends, do sneak in this name, Sultan Zarawani.
And if they ask who, just smile and tell them the guy who faced Alan Donald without a helmet and actually lived to tell the tale. What a great
Yeah,
story to say. Conversation starter.
yeah, yeah. And you've heard this story at Chronicles of Cricket.
And we'll see you next time.